We have discussed how the combination of stitches, needle selection, and yarns can create limitless design capabilities for knits. In this video, we will cover several common combinations that you may recognize, how they are constructed, and their characteristics. The most basic of all knit fabrics is jersey. Also known as single jersey, this fabric is made using a single set of needles, each knitting on every course. Jersey results in a smooth, thin fabric with an unbalanced face and back, which causes curling. Variations in jersey include creating stripes, using specialty or fancy yarns for unique effects, and utilizing the technical back of the fabric as the fashion fabric, commonly referred to as reverse jersey. Another very common stitch type is rib. Rib knits are formed using two sets of needles, each positioned on opposite sides and knitting on every course, creating alternating columns of jersey and reverse jersey stitches. The opposing needles can be selected in a large number of patterns, including using every needle with the two beds rib-gated, called all-needle rib or 1x1 rib, alternating two columns of each, 2x2 rib, or using an unequal number of needles from each bed, such as a 3x1 rib or 4x2. Ribs are a very stretchy fabric with good recovery, and because knit stitches appear on both sides of the fabric, it tends to not curl and is commonly used on hems and collars of garments. Balanced ribs, where the same number of needles are used on each bed, have the same look on the face and back. In contrast, unbalanced ribs, where the needle count varies, exhibit different appearances on the face and back. When opposing sets of needles are knit in a more irregular pattern than rib, perhaps to achieve a geometric or graphic effect, this is called links, knit and purl, or a jersey reverse jersey stitch. For stitches to alternate between jersey and reverse jersey on subsequent courses, the stitches from one needle bed must be transferred to the opposing needle bed between knitting cycles. For that reason, this fabric is most commonly knit on flatbed machines, but some circular machines have links capabilities by utilizing double-ended needles and moving the needles themselves between beds. Double knit fabrics can create smooth faces with the appearance of jersey on both sides of the fabric without the ability to stretch the fabric apart and reveal the reverse of the stitch. These fabrics typically require multiple feeds of yarn to create one course of knitting, so they tend to be slower to knit, heavier, and consume more yarn. One common double knit fabric is interlock, in which two feeds of opposing 1x1 rib are worked to create one course. Because the 1x1 pattern is opposing, the reverse of a stitch is never seen in the finished fabric, with both sides showing the face of the knit stitch. Interlock is more stable but less extensible than rib and does not curl like jersey. Another common double knit is ponte de Roma, where the two interlock feeds alternate with two feeds of single jersey, one on each set of needles for a total of 4 feeds per course. Ponte is firmer and more extensible than interlock and has a slight horizontal rib appearance due to the single jersey feeds. A Milano rib is similar to a ponte de Roma, but uses only one feed of 1x1 rib before the 2 feeds of jersey, one on each bed, for a total of 3 feeds. This creates a more pronounced horizontal rib appearance. A variation, the half Milano, removes the second feed of jersey for a 2-feed repeat, which is faster to knit, looks different on each side, and uses less yarn. Lastly, an Ottoman rib creates an even more pronounced horizontal rib effect by repeating multiple rows of jersey on a single needle bed between rows of interlock, creating a horizontal blister with a stark, three-dimensional effect. Float stitches can be used to add decoration or functionality to a fabric. Float stitches, also called miss or slipped stitches, are one of the 3 basic stitches and are essential components of many types of stitch combinations. Some specific fabrics that utilize floats include French terry and fleece, where float stitches are created on the reverse of a fabric for additional thickness and warmth. Float stitches can be used to introduce color or specialty yarns and may be used with the technical back of the fabric as the fashion face to highlight and feature the float stitches. Sometimes, yarns are floated across most of the fabric, only occasionally being knit or tucked into the ground fabric to be secured, often due to the transferring of ground stitches between needle beds. In this case, the resulting fabric is called inlay, as it is not technically creating the long floats of yarn through the misstitch, but instead using a specialty yarn carrier to hold the inlaid yarn to one side of the knitting elements. When a ribbed look is desired, but a double knit machine is not available, a mock rib can be knit to maintain the strong vertical rib look without reversing the stitches. Mock ribs are accomplished through stretch yarns and misstitches, where floats of the stretch yarn on the back of the fabric are used to raise ribs on the front of the fabric. The mock rib alternates needles in the desired mock rib pattern with miss and knit stitches on the subsequent courses, so that after finishing, the floats across several needles pull in to raise a section of the fabric. Subsequent needles can knit with different colored yarns to create a jacquard fabric, the simplest of which is a float or single jacquard. This fabric is formed by several yarns making up a single row of fabric, but it must be created by working several courses to make up that one row. Each yarn is worked one course at a time, knitting on the selected needles and floating on all other needles. Once every color included in a row is finished knitting, every needle will have been activated for a knit stitch once, and any yarn not used for a stitch is floated to the back. This results in a fabric that is thicker than single jersey due to the floats and much less extensible. Additionally, long floats may be considered unsightly or a snagging risk, but these fabrics can be created on a single knit machine. On a double knit machine, several different types of jacquard can be created. In a ladder back jacquard, only one needle from the second set out of several will be activated to knit a column of stitches with unused yarn, which can be used to help secure longer floats and add more extensibility to the fabric. This results in vertical columns of stitches on the back of the fabric with straight floats between. A double knit jacquard utilizes all needles from the second set to knit a separate pattern from the face of the fabric on the back of the fabric. Common back patterns include simple geometric patterns such as bird's eye, in which case the fabric might be referred to as a bird's eye back jacquard. Double jacquard has more extensibility than single jacquard, but requires much more yarn and is much thicker. The resulting fabric appears smooth and visually attractive on both sides, and any floats are hidden within the double knit structure. When the back of the fabric contains a reverse of the front, this is called a tubular jacquard. This knit structure creates pockets of fabric that are only joined at the points where two colors switch from the front to the back of the fabric. This can be used for reversible items or as a functional feature for an insulating or quilted effect. A blister jacquard is a double knit in which only some areas of the fabric are a tubular jacquard, while other areas are a double knit jacquard. This causes the tubular areas to pucker for a textured effect. Another method of achieving coloration and pattern in knitting is called intarsia. With intarsia, multiple colors of yarn are knit along a single course, with the yarns interlinking at each intersection to form separate fields of color. Each color of yarn is managed by a separate carrier, and the carriers must have the ability to create the interlinking at each color change. This creates a fabric nearly identical to whatever base pattern structure is being knit, with single jersey being the most common, but other stitch patterns are possible. Intarsia uses less yarn than jacquards and does not create floats that snag. Intarsia is only possible on flat knitting machines because the yarn travels back and forth within each color field. The number of colors used in intarsia is limited by the number of carriers on the machine. The last of the basic stitches is called the tuck stitch, and like a misstitch, it can be used to add functionality or decoration to a fabric. One common use of the tuck stitch is in piqué fabrics, of which there are several varieties. Single piqué, double piqué, and 6-feed piqué are all common variants and are all knit on a single needle bed. In these cases, the tucks contribute an open, cellular look to the fabric that also make it more stable and breathable. Single and double piqué both utilize 4 feeds to create the repeat, with single piqué interspersing jersey between feeds of knit tuck and tuck knit. Double piqué has tucks on every feed, tucking twice in a row on the same needle to create a larger hole in the fabric. 6-feed piqué separates the sequential tucking feeds of the double piqué with a single jersey feed for an even more defined honeycomb effect. Another fabric notably featuring tucks is full cardigan, which introduces tucks into a rib structure to create a thick, highly defined rib effect. In full cardigan, one feed knits on the face while tucking on the back, and the next feed reverses this. A variation called half cardigan uses less yarn and only tucks on the face, while the other feed is standard 1x1 rib. Due to the tucks, these fabrics are much wider than standard ribs and, as the name implies, are very popular for sweaters. Special effects can be created in a knit fabric using manipulation of the yarn, such as with plaiting. Plaiting utilizes a special feeder to hold two yarns together to knit as one, but it maintains one yarn showing on the face of the fabric and one on the reverse. This can be used to create special color effects when using two different colors, or to add elastic yarns to the knit in a more cost-effective way than using covered yarns. Another special yarn effect utilizes terry sinkers to push loops of yarn to one side of the fabric. Thanks to computerized patterning, complex patterns can be created for a highly decorative plush look. Flat knitting machines contain the unique ability to transfer stitches to neighboring needles through the use of racking beds. When a stitch is transferred to an adjacent needle, it creates a double-thick stitch on the needle it was transferred to and leaves a small hole in the needle it was transferred from. This can be used to align the holes and ridges into a pattern for a delicate visual effect. These are commonly called pointelle or eyelet stitches. Specialized circular double knit machines with transfer capability can create pointelle fabrics. Circular machines without transfer needles can mimic pointelle by tucking on the dial in between jersey stitches to create a gap in the fabric. Another use of transferred stitches is cables, in which stitches swap places with each other to create a twisted effect. Cables significantly narrow the fabric due to the twisting, and stitch length must be carefully considered to allow the stitches to stretch out of place. Cable knit fabrics take a long time to knit due to the amount of time spent on rearranging the stitches. Circular machines can produce fabrics to mimic cable shapes by raising parts of the fabric with floats, similar to a mock rib, or by creating the shape with links. However, these fabrics lack the signature point of crossing that defines a true cable.